Hello everyone and welcome to This Week in Net. It's the April the 25th edition. Our developer week of early April brought a lot of excitement to the current and even maybe future developers. It was full of AI, agents and several announcements. I'm João Tomé. I'm in our Cloudflare Lisbon office in Portugal, where actually April the 25th, it's a national holiday. So in this episode, we go into more detail with conversations with author Ashley Peacock that wrote a book about building with Cloudflare, and also Sunil Pai from our AI agents team. The feedback about our developer week on social media was so amazing that we'll also take some time to show off some of those great comments online. One of the interesting things, even for me, and I don't work in our team that builds all of these developer tools, is to see how from feedback of developers, the team iterates so fast. So keep that feedback coming. Now let's start with Sunil Pai. Sunil is the founder of PartyKit, an open source deployment platform for AI agents acquired by Cloudflare in 2024. And he's a principal systems engineer that is building AI agents at Cloudflare. Sunil and Craig Dennis actually have also been doing these live shows called Dry Run that you can check on Cloudflare TV or on our developer YouTube channel. So here's Sunil.
Hi, my name is Sunil Pai. I'm a principal systems engineer at Cloudflare, and I work on the AI agents project. We are here in the Cloudflare London office. I'm in the UK myself. One thing that one of my favorite releases from this week was the Wheat plugin, which seems like a fairly small thing, but it opens up using Cloudflare Workers with all your favorite front-end frameworks and libraries and CSS, especially because previously it was a little hard to set up, but now it just works out of the box. Combined with stuff like our new worker builds, where you can just instantly with one click on, like we have a new shiny deploy to Cloudflare button, it sets up your GitHub and your CI and preview URLs and just so many things out of the box in minutes flat. That I think was like one of my favorite announcements. The other thing I like is that a lot of interesting people from Cloudflare actually showed up to London this week. We had so many events. We had our developer week celebration, in fact, yesterday, and it was so nice to meet everyone in the community. And in this like remote friendly world, it's really nice when everyone gathers in one place to like celebrate and have a good time. So it's been a wonderful week.
There's a lot of feedback on social media, but having this in-person connection also makes it worthwhile, right?
Mm-hmm. I like working from home, don't get me wrong. Like I get like so much work done and I get to exercise and go for walks and all of that. I really, really miss the people. One of the best things about working in Cloudflare is the people. In fact, everyone's so smart and so friendly. And especially when we get together, it's just a wonderful time to spend with everyone.
Can you explain to us a bit on, you have a agent hat, which is really cool. Mm-hmm. There's more people in the team that have one of those. Why for you agents is important? What do you think can be built with agents?
I have a very boring explanation for why I think agents are such a big deal. Software is all about automation of processes, automation of boring work, automation of menial work, automation behind the scenes where humans can instead focus on thinking and having more impact. Agents, especially with LLMs and attached to like your own data sources and your own documents and your own internal business processes, finally takes so much of that menial work away from humans and lets them focus on working on the things they actually care about their business or like for themselves or building personal AI assistants. And conveniently, the Cloudflare Workers platform, shout out to Durable Objects, which is a big part of it, has created a platform that's perfect for running these things on the edge platform, literally 20 milliseconds away from you on, well, like I get like 15 millisecond latency here, in fact, in London. It really is a true age of software. For a while, it seemed very like hype generating, but it's actually turning out to be quite useful for individual purposes, but also like automating so many things in your business. Shout out to Matt Silverlock who made the cap. We made a small batch of, I think, like 8 caps. So 8 of these have gone out to people right now. Maybe we'll do another batch soon, but right now it's my favorite cap.
In the AI world and the agents world that you're speaking, is there specifically like things that you spoke about opportunities, but things that you think could be challenging as well in terms of people actually learning before just doing? Is there a challenge that could be there specifically?
I keep thinking about it in the terms of, don't get me wrong, while I enjoy a good Studio Ghibli generation of my photos, I think humans, the value of human created art and effort is a lot more meaningful. I think AI and AI agents, for me personally, they aim to remove toil and tedium from human life, especially like at work and emails and things like that. Like I really like focusing on creation and innovation, and those are things that people are still just way better at, and it's going to stay that way for a very long time. And no, I actually don't really have a problem of easily spoon-fed information as long as you care enough to verify it so that like your AI hasn't hallucinated it. But no, I'm just generally like a big time techno optimist, and I love asking AI to teach me something new every day.
If you look into the future, where do you think this area, the agents, what is enabling? There's a lot of talk about creative people that didn't know how to code. Now they don't need to.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you see that perspective of making building easier going?
So I think what it does is it raises both the floor and the ceiling. Like even me, like building a website that's actually looks nice and feels good and is accessible would take a lot of time, because of which I wouldn't even bother making so many projects, despite knowing how to code. I've been writing software for 20 years now, and now I get to do it like really quickly and share ideas. What that means is that the floor is lifted for not just people like me, but also people who haven't been coding or haven't ever coded in their life. They are able to express their ideas as software and share it across the planet. I think that's important, but it also raises the ceiling because the expectations for software become so much higher in terms of polish, in terms of thought, in terms of intention, in terms of listening to your users' feedback and doing more. And those are things that I don't think AI can solve out of the box, at least not for a while. So I think AI and agents, what it does is it definitely raises both the floor, but also the ceiling because of user expectations.
If you had to say one thing about Cloudflare that most people don't realize, but they should, or the Cloudflare developers platform, what would that be?
Well, 4 years ago, even though the Cloud Workers platform is I don't know, about 7 years old now, 8 years old, I don't remember. I found out about it only 4 years ago, and I was blown away. And even over the last 4 years, I think the fact that Cloudflare even has a developer platform was not a very well-known fact. But it seems like that tide is turning. Social media, the way that Cloudflare is telling its story is a lot better. I don't know, like we had developer week, but honestly, it feels like we've been shipping for the last 2 months on a daily basis. I can't keep up. Like every morning I have to go and check like my Twitter to find out what Cloudflare has shipped in the last 24 hours. And we always have people who go into our docs and they're like, oh, you have a browser rendering engine inside Cloudflare Workers? That's weird. I thought you just did JavaScript. Oh, you have a vector database, you have a this. So I don't think it's one thing that would surprise people. It's that it's just such a broad platform with so many features, and it's becoming so much more accessible to developers on a given day. If there's one thing that I would say, I would recommend people build their weekend or side projects on Cloudflare Workers. It is a wonderful platform, and the free plan is so generous. In fact, I think that's the thing. I think the Cloudflare free plan is so much more generous than any other provider out there, where you can get things to production without ever putting in the credit card number. So I would recommend trying out your next side project with our unique, extremely cool edge scaling platform with durable objects and AI agents and stuff. And you would be surprised at all the things you can do without needing to install, like use another third-party service. It's crazy. It's quite wild.
And just to wrap things up, about the AI age that is called AI age, about agents, what is the thing that you think most people don't realize and they should?
One is because the models have been getting have been getting better so quickly. I don't think people realize how ready they are for day-to-day activities. One of my predictions is that almost at least every developer, if not every human being, is going to have a little personal AI assistant that they use and talk to by the end of the year. One of the other pitches I make is that developers, for the last 10 years, people have been making a website as their side project on weekends. By the end of the year, everyone is going to be making little personal AI assistants by the end of for themselves. And it's because technology goes through a paradigm shift where it starts off as being expensive and the purview of subject matter experts and billion-dollar companies, and they get commodified to the point that hackers, enthusiasts, tinkerers like me can write it in a few lines of code. And I think we are almost there. You should use the AI Agents SDK to do that. But I suspect it's going to be so much more widespread and mainstream by the end of the year, simply because the models have gotten good and the infrastructure app layer is like so fun to hack on right now.
Would you like to be a young person doing code and starting things right now?
Oh yeah, amazing. In fact, I was taught how to use AI code editors by the interns at Cloudflare. Shout out to Dravya. He sat me down and he's like, this is what Cursor is. And I was blown away. The younger people have such a leg up. They get to, especially because they're born into the style of coding and the capabilities that are there. I can't imagine how wonderful it must be to be able to play in this space at the moment. It's crazy.
Now it's time to talk with Ashley Peacock, a British engineer and Cloudflare Dev Expert that even has a book called Serverless Apps on Cloudflare. We spoke with him a couple of weeks ago during our Connect event in London. Small note, when we spoke, Cloudflare Containers wasn't still announced. Now it is. It's coming in open beta this June. It will help developers run full Linux apps in any language with more memory and CPU. So it will be completely integrated with our Workers platform, and it will be simple and scalable. So it will help those that want like lightweight, portable environments that package code and dependencies to run anywhere. So here's Ashley.
I'm Ashley Peacock. I am a software engineer for an insurance company in London, and I'm also a Cloudflare Dev Expert, which is very similar to like an AWS hero. So I'm very involved in the Cloudflare community as an engineer. Yeah. So for me, I think I did a talk today here at Cloudflare Connect where I talked about the undifferentiated heavy lifting that Cloudflare can do. It's like what AWS was kind of founded on, and I think Cloudflare kind of takes that to the next level. It can really empower developers to move really quickly, ship things really fast, thanks to things like their really good kind of developer experience that they bring, and the suite of kind of products that they bring is just everything that you would need to build an app is now available through their dev platform.
Specifically about Developer Week that is ongoing, there's still a day to end. What do you think about the recent announcements? Anything in particular that pops the eye in a sense?
I think today was a really big one. I think D1 read replication is huge because before your databases, when you're using workers, they're in one location, but now they are available globally, it makes them a lot more usable because otherwise the latency was quite high. And the announcement about R2 and how you can use it with iceberg tables, I think it'd be really disruptive because data warehouse storage is really expensive. And R2 has no egress fees, so it could be a real game changer, I think, that one.
Specifically in terms of what these tools are allowing you to build and do, where do you put your hopes up in terms of the ability of doing things quicker, easier in a sense? What are the main gains that you see in the current situation for developers?
Specifically for Dev Week? I think like the one I just talked about, the iceberg tables, like you could easily lift and shift what you're currently using for your data warehousing, move it to R2, and you're probably going to make quite a considerable kind of cost saving. I think for me, what allows me to go quickly is, like I mentioned, the developer experience. So they have a suite of products, databases, caches, etc. And if I'm building on AWS, I probably have to faff around with Docker containers when I'm running locally. But with Cloudflare, I can just run everything locally. It's all emulated, and that saves me so much time. And then when I deploy it, I just know that it's all taken care of for me. So I can deploy a worker, it's available globally, and it just makes my life so much easier, and I can just move so much quicker. And I often say focus on the things I enjoy, which is writing code. I don't worry about caches and databases and whatever. I just want them to be there, and then I can just use them whenever I like.
If you had 1 or 3 or 5 requests to do to the team in terms of like a feature you would really want to see happening, or even a product maybe, what would that be?
I think I can just go for a few. I think the Terraform support is good, but I think it could be improved a little more kind of wider, I guess. Like some of the new products don't have Terraform modules yet. That would be nice. I think splitting apart Cloudflare accounts, because at the moment you don't have like organizations. I think it's been talked about in a few blog posts, but nothing official has kind of come out yet, and that's really important to separate production staging and make sure you don't have any kind of accidents. And similarly to that, I think with the secret store that was announced this week, I think that's a really good addition to prevent you duplicating your secrets across workers. And it comes with role-based access control, which isn't the same for every Cloudflare product. So I'd want to see that role-based access control kind of spread out across all the products and really kind of improve that. And if I pick one more, it would be kind of better observability into durable objects, because I love durable objects. They've been talked about a lot here today. I think they're awesome, but trying to see what's happening inside is actually quite difficult. And there are some tools out there, but it'd be nice to see that kind of brought in-house natively.
For those who don't know too much about Cloudflare as a developer platform, as an ecosystem, what are the main things that you think are worthwhile exploring as a starting point that you can suggest people to do?
I feel like the developer platform these days is, if you'd asked me that question 2 or 3 years ago, I said, oh, it's missing this, it's missing this, it's missing this. And I feel like it now has all the essential building blocks of what any engineer needs to build the majority of web apps, right? Some web apps have specific requirements that you might need to go off and use another provider, but most websites really are front ends and back ends and some storage. And I think Cloudflare has all those pieces. So honestly, I think if you're doing a project, a side project, whatever it might be, I would just give Cloudflare a go, read the docs. You can spin up a project with npm create Cloudflare, and it will just bootstrap the entire thing for you, and then one more command, you can deploy it, and in the time I took to explain this, you could have deployed an app into Cloudflare. That's how quick it is.
Specifically on this AI era, let's call it like that, what are the advantages in general for the industry, for your work that you see that are advantages that were not possible before and are now possible? Where do you think the coding, the developer perspective is with, there's a lot of talk about MCP servers, where in agents, where are those areas going, you feel?
For me, specifically, I use Cursor, so an IDE powered by AI, and I find it really allows me to move really quickly, especially if I'm like prototyping or starting a new project, you can move really quickly. But I've even used it in my day job on a code base that is millions of lines long. And if you know kind of what you need to do to make that change, you can explain it to the AI, and it does a pretty solid job, genuinely, honestly. You might have to tweak it a little bit, but I find it just kind of lets you move a little bit quicker than you could before. It kind of predict what you might need to do. And particularly, I think I find it interesting to work on AI projects. So in my day job, I'm working on some AI features, and a really easy example is in the US, insurance is not as common to buy online. So you might not know what kind of trade you are as a business. And we basically built a feature using AI that basically they could type in natural language what they do, and we would map it, and we saw a huge increase in the number of people that could select their trade. So I think there's lots of low-hanging fruit where natural language and AI can be slotted into existing businesses that just provides value.
Do you wish this was around a few years ago when we were starting in terms of what it accomplished?
I think it can get people up to speed quicker, but I think if you were new into the space, a new engineer, I think it can also be a bit of a pitfall in that you might not fully understand what you're doing, you're just letting the AI do it for you. So I think there's something to be said for if you're a bit earlier in your career, leaning less on the AI, which is hard. I think you can certainly ask, Copilot questions, but maybe don't let it write the code so much and do it yourself. But yeah, I think it would have been nice. It would let me move quicker for sure.
Actually, on that regard, the challenges that you see with AI, with Cursor, there's a lot of benefits, but do you see also challenges, issues in terms of even young folks not learning what they should because it's too easy?
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. I think it's definitely going to happen because you see these things online. There's these kind of famous Twitter posts or X posts, whatever you want to call it these days, where I think some guy like Vibe coded basically a SaaS, and he went live, and it was quite popular. It did well, which is awesome. But then all of a sudden, he was kind of basically exposed with like security leaks, and he was basically posting like, "Please, someone help me! Like Cursor can't fix it. I need someone to fix it." And these things are going to become more and more common. But more worryingly, you don't know if the app you're using is built by someone that knows what they're doing or someone that doesn't. So on the one hand, I think it's awesome that it enabled that person to do that, but ultimately, it's also going to cause a lot of problems.
If there's one thing that people should know about Cloudflare, but most of them probably don't know, what would that be?
I mean, honestly, that they have a developer platform at all. Like the number of people that I speak to just don't know they do it. They think it's, a CDN and some DDoS protection, and they don't really know about the developer platform. So we've talked about the developer platform a lot. So it really is the developer platform. If you're going to look into one thing, just because I think it's completely unique, it is durable objects, because they're very different to anything I guarantee you've seen it before. But give them a few attempts, because sometimes I was in a talk earlier where they were like, the first time you use durable objects, you're not really sure what it is. You might hate it, but then use it a few more times, and then it really starts to click of what you can do with durable objects.
Explain for those who don't know what is durable object.
So you can imagine like you can spin up an almost infinite number of mini servers on demand. So you can basically say at runtime, give me a new one with an ID. The easiest way I always explain it is most people have used Slack or Teams where you have different channels. Each of those channels could be a durable object, and the durable object comes with built-in storage, so up to 10 gig of data in a SQL-like database, and it comes with WebSockets, so it's great for multiplayer and collaboration, and even just if you're using it not for those things, it has RPC interfaces, so you write the code in like a class in your IDE, but it's actually persisted on a server in a single location. It's durable, and the storage is durable, so it can go to sleep, and then it will wake up whenever it handles the request. And the same for WebSockets. So if you're using API Gateway, you pay for while that connection is open to API Gateway on AWS. With Cloudflare, your durable object, it hibernates and goes to sleep. So you could have 1,000 people connected to your application, and if no one's sending any messages, you're not paying anything. You're only paying when the messages come in. But it's such a powerful primitive. I think I've only covered a few of the features it has, but it's really powerful.
In terms of the internet, in general, what would be your wish list for the internet? Not necessarily for developers, for the internet. Like, where is it going? What can people achieve with it for the future? Could be more related to what you do or not, but could be more general.
I think for me, maybe a fairer internet. I feel like it's getting kind of a little monopolized, right? The internet originally, and it's obviously happened over time, but it was very open and very free, and I feel like the power of the internet is going into the hands of, the Anthropics of the world, the OpenAIs, the Googles, etc. It's been going that way for a long time. I think Cloudflare, I can't remember the exact saying, but they definitely believe in like a free and open internet, which is one of the reasons why, I'm more than happy to support them on like a community level. But yeah, for me, I think it's keeping the internet open, free, accessible for everyone.
Also this week, YouTube celebrated on Wednesday the 20th anniversary of its first video upload. It was on April the 23rd, 2005, so 20 years ago. It was titled Me at the Zoo. So because of that, we looked into our Cloudflare Radar tool, and there we have our DNS-based ranking, and YouTube in the category of video streaming is #1 ahead of Netflix. So that's just a curiosity of this week. In our blog this week, we had our Q1 2025 Internet Disruption Summary from David Belson. It was also from a team I work closely with, the Radar team. Disruptions were driven by cyber attacks, cable cuts, and natural disasters, even like the earthquake in Myanmar, also the fires in California. So you can check that blog out. We also have Kelly Russell explaining why she joined Cloudflare as Chief People Officer. Welcome to Cloudflare, Kelly. And also Mark Jenkins in another blog post about why he joined Cloudflare to build world-class partnerships in EMEA, in Europe. Welcome, Mark. And also, now it's time for social love, some social love we got during our developer week.
It was an incredible developer week for Cloudflare, not just in product launches, but in how the community responded. We'll start with Lindo.ai, who shared their excitement after migrating from AWS to Cloudflare. Then came Theo from T3.gg, stunned by the announcement that Cloudflare now supports Docker containers coming in June 2025. Kent C. Dodds chimed in to praise our AI tools, quoting Rita Kozlov's walkthrough of AutoRag, the new way to embed and query your own data effortlessly on Cloudflare. Sam Goodwin was loving how simple our platform makes things, saying that Cloudflare replaces a whole bunch of AWS tools with just Fetch. Over on Lost and Founding's feed, we got a full list of favorites: D1 read replicas, AutoRag, streaming ingestion, and pipelines, plus nice quality of life improvements like secrets management and easy GitHub deploys. William Allen kept it simple. My colleagues know only one mode: shipping. Peter Pistorius celebrated that durable objects are now part of the workers' free plan, highlighting their use for real-time session storage in React apps. Security was also in the spotlight. Jenkel Schenkelman emphasized how Cloudflare's support for MCP and AI agents, along with tools like Auth0, makes it easier than ever to build secure agentic systems. And finally, Jeff Weinstein noted that the AI agent stack is quickly coming together, especially with the latest MCP integrations and built-in auth. David Soryapara called for more engagement around MCP security, wanting to build safer foundations together. And Liad Yosef shared how his team put our platform to the test with a full migration of a complex MCP server. And it went smooth. Martin was excited about remote MCPs being dead easy to implement, while Sumai added a one-click deploy to Cloudflare button to GitHub for Go projects. Peter Pistorius even laid out what he called the best modern stack: Cloudflare top to bottom, from storage to AI to real-time streaming. We also saw Design Love. Nanda shared her work on the agent site, saying the scroll interaction was her favorite part. Nico Botha became a new fan of the platform, impressed by how much we've shipped lately, calling it more than just a DDoS shield. Esteban was wowed by AutoRag. His site was vectorized in under a minute. And Adam celebrated launching the first fully serverless email service on Cloudflare. Mert Kosioglu shared how the Model Context Protocol.com platform runs fully on Cloudflare, using pages, workers, durable objects, and Cloudflare Registrar. Then there's a heartfelt blog post from Reconfigured.io titled "Why Cloudflare is the Perfect Infrastructure for Building AI Applications." It calls Cloudflare the perfect tool for the job, especially for building remote MCP servers. A love letter to Cloudflare, literally.